morning. Thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. My name is Lauren. I'm 44 years old, and we're going to be talking about how your skin is changing when you're in perimenopause and how you can use easy makeup fixes to combat some of those changes. So as you're jumping on, say hi, tell me how you're doing, where you're from. You'll have to excuse my voice. I have that same cold that I think numerous people have right now. And so I'm going to work through it. But I wanted to go live and really talk about those perimenopause changes to our skin. And if you are swearing off makeup and you're in your 40s or beyond, I'm going to hopefully convince you to change your mind. So these are going to be really fast, really easy tips. And we're just going to talk about some things that we are experiencing. Hi, Amanda. So go ahead and tell me hi. If you have a question about your skin or your makeup routine, drop it down. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Angela. Drop it down below. And I'm going to do my best to also kind of answer those as I go along. So hello. Okay. So first thing that you may be noticing as your skin is changing. So like I said, I'm 44. I've noticed every year things get a little bit different. But as you are getting a little bit more into perimenopause, I've been in perimenopause since I was 42 officially. I probably was there before, but was not diagnosed. You might notice a couple of things. One, you're losing collagen in the skin. So things aren't as plump as they used to be unless you're, going like a filler route or you're doing the Botox. I do Botox, so I'm very transparent with that. But that can also really kind of change. The collagen is going to lessen as we get older. Hello. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to say hi to everybody as you jump on. You're also probably noticing more dryness in your skin. So we're going to talk about how we can change some of that, how we can help your skin get more hydrated, and then also elasticity. Our skin is way more movable. It's not as firm as it used to be. And so as we get into our older 40s, 50s, 60s, we start noticing those big changes. And then also one thing I've noticed a lot is sensitivity. So I've noticed like I'm more red. I've noticed that when I get a cut or a pimple because I feel like I'm back in puberty, it doesn't heal as fast. Those are all really normal things in perimenopause. So if you're dealing with that and you're like, makeup's out the window for me, this video is for you because I'm going to show you just some easy things. You can go to your makeup drawer and you can do the things I'm doing without having to buy products. Now I'm going to show you products I think work really well on mature skin because I also think that's hard to find good things that work on mature skin. But like I said, whatever you have, whatever you love, you can use for all of this. Hi, Jackie. How are you? Okay, so I already have on just my base face, okay? The biggest thing I want to talk about is when you start, before you start your makeup prep, if you are in perimenopause and your skin is dry as the Sahara Desert, because trust me, that happens, good skincare. Good skincare is going to be your best friend. I love a good oil cleanser, a cleansing balm, something that's going to hydrate the skin instead of using a harsh soap, okay? So if you are using the Cetaphil or you're using something that's a little more harsh and drying, think about switching to something like that. That's going to be really great. Also using a good under eye balm, a stick, something like that that's going to hydrate. So your under eye prep is going to be really key because we are getting more fines and wrinkles underneath the eyes. You've noticed, Angela says she's noticed her rosacea gets worse when it's hot out. Is there anything I can do to help? So when it comes to makeup, not that I know of, there's probably skincare out there. I would definitely talk to a dermatologist when it comes to that. I'm not an expert with that. I don't claim to be. I did have rosacea. I've used some products that have helped a lot kind of lessen it. But as it gets hot, it's natural with rosacea to flare up. So using products that are going to keep you hydrated, that's, all those underlying prep things are going to be really important. But I would definitely talk to a dermatologist. They're going to have a better solution than I probably do. Okay, so I have my base face on. I look flat. So if you are using one shade of foundation before you go on with any other makeup, I'm going to hope that this video is going to persuade you to use some other colors to add depth to the skin, because as we get older, the biggest thing is our skin dulls. So if you've noticed your skin isn't as youthful, isn't as shiny, isn't as vibrant as it used to be, it's very normal. It is going to dull. It happens. So I first of all recommend a good sunscreen before you put on any makeup. I like this one. This is the Glow Screen. This one is in the color Sunrise. I'm pretty fair, so I like this one. There's also Golden Hour. If you're a little darker, it's great. But what I like about this one, and I'll just put a little on my hand to show you, but what I love about this one is it has, oh, that was more than a little, wasn't it? It has a nice sheen to it. So it's going to add in a little bit of a brightening effect to the skin. So if you're feeling dull, you can see that gives more of a youthful look. If you think about a 20-year-old or even a younger child, they have that brightness to the skin. So adding in products that are going to add in kind of that like glowiness to the skin is going to help a lot with youthfulness and combating that dull skin. Next, if you are using a liquid foundation, you're going to ignore what I'm going to say here. But what I like, I use cream. So I use Saint Makeup, and I can color match you for this. And when I do post this, you can comment match, and I'll give you all the products that I'm using. You can, get color matched by me. You can use cream makeup. I love cream makeup for maturing skin. But a lot of times people think that creams, they're not getting the coverage that they need. And so I really like this new, it's kind of like a skin tint. I'll show you just a minute. I just want to answer this. I've been using the color Dawn for a year now. Oh, good. I'm so glad you guys like that sunscreen. A lot of you are saying you use this as a primer. I use it as a primer too. It's awesome. I will post all of these products in my description when I post this, but also you can comment match, and I will send you everything, and you can just click and decide what link you want to look at. This is the skin tint I absolutely love. So if you are someone who doesn't like makeup, or you're someone who is wearing like a cream makeup or a lighter foundation and you want more coverage without getting the texture, because you have to be very careful as we age. We have more texture, we have more fine lines. So if you're adding on layers of makeup, it's gonna look really cakey. And we could get away with that when we were younger. I mean, it still doesn't look amazing. We could get away with that when we were younger, but as we age, it's aging you to put on too many layers, okay? So I personally love this one. It's the Hourglass Veil. It's expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually watched a lot of videos on this before I decided to try it. And then I decided to try it before I even talked about it at all. So I've been using it for a month and I love it. My husband's complimented me on my makeup, things like that. And boys don't always notice, so. This one is really great. You guys, if you're commenting match, just make sure you comment it when I post this on my page. I'm so sorry. I don't have like someone who's sending you the link or anything, so you'll have to wait till it gets on my page, but you can comment it when I get there. But this one is really great. It's very lightweight. It looks beautiful on the skin, and I just use a more dense brush and push it on the skin. So if you are sensitive, this is a great product, but also make sure when you're applying your foundation in general, if you're sensitive, that you're pressing it into the skin. When you start doing this swiping motion, one, it's gonna look streaky, but two, you're actually causing that redness to kind of flare up, and you're not gonna get good even coverage. So pressing it, just with a brush, pressing is really important, okay? Love this one, really great. Also have a lot more affordable options too, but I feel like for me, as I age, I spend a little more on products because I want them to look natural on the skin. So I do have this on with my cream makeup right now, but I don't have anything else. I just have one shade on. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so as we age, like I said, we lose collagen, we lose elasticity. We have all these issues, right? And we stop wearing makeup because we're like, this isn't working. So one thing that I think we are not realizing, because we haven't really been taught it, is that as we age, using that one color of foundation, we've all gone and bought that at the drugstore, Ulta, Sephora, we put it on and we're just like, I don't love what I look like. Well, it's because we're washed out, okay? So with maturing skin, I do like to shade up. I do not like shading down. If you shade down, your makeup's gonna separate. It's gonna sit on texture. Think about light and dark, right? Light's gonna push everything forward. Dark is gonna recede. If you go in and put a very light foundation on your skin, it's gonna make you look pale. It's gonna make you look dated. So find something that's like one shade darker than what you would normally use, or use a bronzer. Bronzer can also be kind of used to bump up to that next shade, but that's gonna make you just look so much more vibrant. So that's really, really important too. Okay, so when we're talking about aging skin, we hollow really, really easily as we age. Our skin, our faces, if you go back, and I bet you if you went and looked at a picture when you were 20 years old, your face does not even look the same as it did, right? We have more hollowing, the shape kind of changes. Our cheekbones are not as existent. We hollow here in this area because our fat pads are gone. We hollow here, which we lose our fat pads there. Right here, we hollow. So if you're watching makeup videos by women who are 20 and 30, They're doing a wonderful job, but it's not made for you. You do not want to be doing the same thing that someone that's 20 or 30 if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond. Because what you're going to do is you're going to age your face because you can't do the same things. So when we talk about light and dark, and I'm going to use a couple of different products because like I told you, I want you to be able to go into your makeup drawer and be able to grab something. But I'm going to start with contour. A lot of you are scared of contour. I get it. I was scared for years of contour. But I don't want you to be scared of contour because as we age, it's actually a really good tool. And I'm just grabbing mine out of my palette. It looks like this. You can pick anything, okay? Contour matches your eyebrows. It matches your hairline. That's the best way to pick it. But what contour is going to do is it's meant to recede. It's meant to lift and it's meant to pull backwards. So we want to be careful where we use this because wherever we use this on the skin, it's going to pull something back. So if you're putting this color on an area, let's say like here on the temples, I'm sure you've seen a makeup video where they pull it down here. It's pulling in. It's going to make your whole face pull in. Gives this weird illusion that you look like Skeletor. So we don't want to do that, right? We want to be really careful where we apply this. So let's start with where I would apply contour. Now, everyone's face is different. Your face, you want to think of it as your own roadmap. When I apply makeup, I'm talking to more of the masses. So I'm going to show you a lot of different areas. So as I put this on, I'm going to explain if I was you and had an issue, I would use it in this spot, okay? So the first thing is we're going to start on the forehead. Now, if you have a larger forehead and you're trying to make it appear smaller, I would use contour on your forehead. Now, if you have a smaller forehead, you don't need contour there, okay? So you don't need to be placing makeup, extra layers, extra product on places you don't need. So if you have a larger forehead, the best way to use contour is to start at the arch of the brow. Now, a lot of us are losing the arch of the brow, so just kind of go in that area, that general area that you would have an arch. And I like to take my fingers as kind of a good marking place and kind of pull up to the hairline. Now, if you're receding, contour is going to be really great. So if you have a receding hairline, a lot of us have hair loss. As we go into perimenopause, contour is going to give the illusion that your hairline actually is not receding. So it's another way you can use it. But what I like to do, take a little bit. This is a cream. Like I said, Rare Beauty has a great liquid one. There's lots of different ones you can use, but I'm just going to use cream just to make it easy. So wherever my arch of my brow is, I'm going to kind of make an imaginary line up here. And I'm going to draw my contour as close to the hairline as I possibly can in this area. Now, if you have light hair, pull your hair back. We don't want to get this in that area, but you're just going to kind of just put a light amount right there. That's as far as I would go. I don't want to apply too much, but I want to keep it just enough that I'm going to have a good amount next to that hairline. So if I'm receding, I'm going to make it look like that hairline continues. And if I have a larger forehead, I'm going to pull this down. So the larger the forehead, the more you want to make it recede, you're going to pull that down. If that's not your issue and you're more worried about the receding here of the hairline, you're going to pull it back and you're going to keep it in this area. Hopefully I'm making sense. Now, before I do that, I'm going to spray my brush with a setting spray. Why am I doing that? One, it's going to blend your contour much easier. Same with foundation. I love spraying my brush. When your brush is wet and you're using a wet product, it's going to help so much with blending. And I'm just going to press, okay? I'm not swiping, and I'm going to bring this down. I'm pulling it into the hairline so you can kind of see what that looks like, but then I'm also bringing it down just a little bit so you can see if you did have a larger forehead, how I would bring it down. And one thing with contour, and I see this happen a lot, is one, people don't blend back into their hairline so you can see the two different colors, or they're not, they're swiping it so it looks really patchy. So you just want to make sure you're pulling it. So see how I'm pulling that down, and already that's brought that forehead down. It's made my skin look a little warmer, and it's just kind of created that illusion that my forehead is smaller, but then I'm pulling it all the way back. We don't want a line. If you have a line, just pull your hair back and really just work it back into that recession of the hair, okay? So that's your forehead. Hi, Kelly, how are you? Okay, so now, next thing that we do, we lose our cheekbones, okay? So I do recommend that most people are going to contour their cheekbones. Hold on, I need a drink. The reason I say that is because we lose fullness to the face. We start hollowing, and the elasticity is also lost. So everything's kind of dragging down, right? Everything's coming down. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what are we dealing with today? Because that's what happens, things change. So what I like to do is I like to kind of feel for that cheekbone. Now, back in the day, we would contour, we'd make a fish face, right? And if you see me do that, see how low my actual divots in my face are right here? If I was to contour that low onto my face, that's gonna elongate my face and it's gonna drag it down. I personally don't want that. I don't want my face to look longer than it is, and I don't want to drag it down. I want to lift it to look. So I'm going to feel for that cheekbone, that prominent part of the cheekbone. And for most people, it lines up in the area at the top of the ear or a little above. Okay, so you can even take your finger and you can hold it right there, and you want to go on that curvature of the bone so you can feel it. You can feel how it curves up and rounds up. If I come up here too high, I don't want to put that contour color right there. If I do that, it's going to hollow out my eye even more. We don't want to do that. If I go down too low, like I said, it's going to drag the face down. So it's really important. Placement's important with this. Using a smaller brush is great. Using a brush like this, where I could use the side, is also really great to stamp. So I'm going to show you how I do that. But you're just going to put a little bit of contour on the side of the brush, like this. And like I said, where it lines up, for me, it lines up right about the edge, a little higher, and I'm only gonna bring it to the edge of my eye. Why? Because I don't wanna bring it here. If I bring it here, I'm already losing fullness there, so if I put a dark color there, it's gonna hollow me out so much, and I do not want that on my face. Now, if you're really full, you could bring it down a little bit more, so it really depends on the look you're going for. So for me, I'm gonna start right here, and I'm just gonna stamp that contour to the edge of the eye. And while I'm stamping, I'm also going to, when I get to this edge, I'm gonna kind of pull it up just a little bit, okay? The reason being, I wanna lift. That's what I'm going for. So if you, like I said, if you're wanting to add a little bit more fullness, you don't have to worry so much about where you stop, but for me, that's where I'm stopping, okay? And I'm only gonna do this one side because I wanted to show you how that's gonna lift. You can also, there's also been like other makeup artists, Erica Taylor's a great example, where she will go here and she'll pull it up here. You can totally do that. I find this is really easy to just make the one line, because when you blend it out, which I'm gonna show you, you can lift. So spray your brush with setting spray. And then when you go to tap out your contour, you're going to start at the edge of the contour and you're going to tap up to the temple, and almost like I'm bringing it up to the eye. So it's stamp and pull up, stamp and pull up. So that's why you don't need to make that V shape. You can do that if you want, but you really don't need to. And we're just gonna keep that up and up high. Still avoiding this area because I do not want to put contour there. It's gonna make everything look very Skeletor. Look at just the difference of me doing that versus this other side. This is just bringing up the face. It's also adding dimension to the face so I look like I'm more youthful, right? So there we go, okay? So that is all you have to do, you guys. If you can make a line, you can contour. It's not scary. The next trick is if you have fullness to the chin area, this part, gravity takes a toll. We start losing the firmness that we had under there. You can take a little bit of your contour and you can just kind of come right here under that chin. You can make a triangle. It really is not rocket science. You just need to keep it in that area because we're gonna recede. Okay, same thing, spray your brush again, and we're just gonna blend it down into that area. Okay, if you have that double chin, this is a great trick for you. And then if you have jowls, I like to do this. So jowls are right here. We get really loose right here. Very normal. You can see when I talk, I'm starting to get those jowls. I don't want to contour there because jowls are already hollowing. See how it's already hollowing in? So if I go in with my contour and I put that on, that dark color, it's gonna recede it. It's gonna make it look more hollow. We don't wanna do that. So instead, I'm gonna skip that area. I'm gonna go underneath. Make sure you're underneath. You can find that jawbone by taking your finger and pushing under. And you're gonna go up to the ear. That's gonna give me the illusion of a much straighter jawline, and it's going to combat this area. And I'm gonna show you another trick for your jowls if you do have that. And then you're just gonna pull down the neck, nice and slow, keeping it off the face. And that is gonna give you that illusion of a much more chiseled jawline, okay? because we already have a natural shadow there. We just lose that. So those are my favorite hacks for contouring. If you have lips that you are losing fullness, you can even come a little bit underneath there, just like that. I will show you another trick for up here if you are losing your top lip like I am. So contour is, like I said, it's just going to lift, it's going to recede. If I put my head straight on, you can already see the lift that I've gotten versus this side, which I haven't touched. So some really good tricks with contour, but don't make it difficult. Contour should not be difficult. Okay, next, now we want to bring back the fullness to the face. So if you are hollowing, let's talk about areas of the skin and the face that normally hollow as we age. One, inside corner of the eye up into here. We used to have this nice fat pad right here. That is starting to be gone. We hollow here. You can see I have hollows. That is all very, very normal. Also right here, unless you're adding filler in, you're gonna have some smile lines happening. You're gonna feel this area hollowing, as well as right here into the jowl area, okay? Those are all very normal, common areas that we start hollowing, as well as right in here. So we want to use a lighter color in order to combat that, okay? So when I say that though, I wanna be very cautious. If you have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles and texture, I want you to be very careful about the color that you choose to highlight, because if you go too light, it's gonna make everything look worse. And the whole point of makeup as we age is to look really natural. And so I don't want anything to look fake when we're doing this. So I would suggest if you do have more texture, more fine lines, more mature skin, whatever foundation you're using, just shade down one shade. Now, if you have less mature skin, you still feel like you're hollowing, you could probably get away with 2 shades lighter. Just be very careful with that, okay? Because whatever you put on a light color is going to actually pop forward. So if you are putting that on fine lines and wrinkles, it's gonna look worse. I'm gonna use this today. This is a concealer. I know a lot of you have concealer at home, so instead of using cream for this, I do wanna show you this one. If you have mature skin and you're looking for a good concealer, I actually love this one, and I'm so surprised. I never thought in my life I would say I like a liquid concealer. This one's really good. Okay, so we don't need much. I'm just gonna take my brush and kind of wipe this off, but we're gonna start by applying this in the areas that we hollow, which is right here. Now notice I'm going around the hollow. I'm not in the discoloration, I'm just around the hollow. I wanna plump outside of that area that's hollowing, okay? We're gonna give that illusion. I'm also gonna bring a little bit up right here, and I'm gonna bring it right up into here, because this is the area that we start hollowing. And then we're gonna bring up from the outer corner of the eye up to the temple. Now this step right here is one of my favorite tips and tricks for eyeshadow. So this is a great finishing step. If you're like, I'm not doing any of this, Lauren, you want one good tip. This right here is one of my absolute favorite. Do not skip that step after eyeshadow because it cleans everything up and it looks really good. Helen, I would definitely see a functional physician or a naturopath if you're confused if you're in perimenopause. They will take your symptoms over a blood test, or make sure that you go see someone who is specialized in women's hormones. Not all OBs, not all general practitioners are. So that's my best piece of advice if you are even questioning it, because you can get help and it is a game changer. So, okay, so hollowing. So see how this color is not much darker than much lighter than my skin, but it's also not gonna show texture, okay? I'm also gonna take it right here onto that fine line, and I'm going to come just a little bit in like that, okay? Yeah, so hormones definitely, as I do this, I'm just gonna do this on both sides to show you guys, but hormones, it's really interesting to me. Most DMs I get from women, it's 42 that people really start noticing that their hormones are off or they might be in perimenopause. I personally think I was around 40. I just didn't know what was going on. I felt depressed, anxious, things like that. And I was in perimenopause, so definitely. Helen, make sure if you are told that your blood tests are normal, that you get a second opinion, because you don't need to go off of blood tests if you are in perimenopause. That's one thing that women don't understand, and they're told they're normal, but if you have symptoms, it's not normal, okay? All right, here. And once again, I'm not a doctor. I say that all the time, but I was very much misdiagnosed. And so it's very important to me that I do spread awareness with that. All right, if you're hollowing here, we're gonna go right here. And then if you have a jowl, we're gonna bring it right here. So do you notice that I am coming into those areas where I'm hollowing, okay? We also hollow right under here, and so I'm gonna go right there. So if you have a concealer, anything would work. Okay, I'm missing some questions, let's see. Okay, so concealer, this one is called CL. It's a newer brand, looks like this. My hair is now on that. It looks like this, and like I said, when I post this on my page, all you have to do is comment match, and I will make sure that this is linked for you. I love this, and I'm very surprised that I'm saying I like a liquid concealer, because I don't think in the 5 years that I've done social media I've ever said that. So this one is really, really good. Let's see, which self-tanner are you currently using? I'm loving. Sorry, I've asked this question before. I can't remember what you said. Okay, so for face and for body, I showed my top 5 the other day, but I would say Get Into the Limelight is my absolute right now. That's the one I used for my face. I have it on right now, and it's very, very subtle. And then I love it for the body. So that one is awesome. It's linked in my ELK TK if you're wanting to find it there. You can go to my profile. All right, making sure I answered everything. No, you're so good. I'm glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked. That's what I'm here for. Like I said, though, I'm not a doctor, so I just want to make sure people understand that I'm just giving my opinion of being misdiagnosed and understanding the frustration with that. So, okay, we've got the concealer into the areas that we hollow. Now, have you noticed it's just sitting on my face? I'm doing that on purpose. The reason I'm doing that on purpose is because as my skin warms to this product, it's actually gonna blend out even better. So if you're noticing that things aren't blending out well, try this tip of just letting it sit for a minute, and then we'll go in and blend it. So let's talk brushes while it sits. When you are blending out this kind of like highlight into the areas that are hollowing, using a smaller brush is key. Okay, these are my 2 favorites. I cannot find this one for the life of me, so I should probably not show this to you, but I love it. So if you ever run into the IT Cosmetics under eye brush, they sent it to me and I cannot find it to link. It's really good. This one is from Saint, and I like it because it has kind of like an artist pencil, like kind of brush, and then it has this like eyeshadow fluffy one. Find something small that you can really get in the areas that you want to work. I'm going to use this one just because I can link this one. I can't link the other one. BK Beauty has a good under eye concealer brush too. Okay, spraying again, and we're going to start by blending this out. Now, when I blend this out, I'm going to blend around the area that I'm hollowing. And the reason is it's going to give that illusion of plumpness. We're going to bring it down just a little bit of the nose, and then we're going to come up here and really keep that right in that area. Can you see how that's already plumping that? Look at the difference. Hopefully you can see it on camera, but it's pushing that area forward, and it makes such a crazy difference. And then we're just gonna keep this right here on the area that a lot of us lose fullness. Sorry, you guys, I am a hot mess with my cold today, so if I sound like I'm sniffling a lot, I'm sure that's so annoying. And then we're gonna come up into that area that we hollow. I don't want to go past this area of my eye though. So I'm really making sure, you guys, this is really important, is that when you are doing anything with placement, highlight, contour, all those things, we're really keeping it focused on the area that we're trying to correct. Okay. Can we see like how that's plumping compared to that? And brightening? I mean, it's amazing to me. Okay, go back and spray. Then we're gonna come in here, and I'm just gonna kind of follow this area. I shouldn't have put it on the other side because I wasn't really doing much with the other side, just to show you the difference. Look at that plumped. It's crazy to me how just a little bit of product, now mind you, it's a little bit of product. I don't wanna use a lot. If I'm using a lot of product, what's gonna happen, right? We're gonna look more textured. If you have a jowl, this is the area right here that we really wanna brighten, because that will push it forward. Can you guys see the difference on camera? I hope you can. It's just crazy to me. And then we're gonna come here. I'm actually gonna spray my brush again. You can see I do this a couple times. A wet brush is going to blend out any type of product really nicely. I'm gonna actually continue that down before I blend it out. And then I'm just gonna work on tapping it down. And if you get to this point and you're like, okay, this little brush isn't working, you can switch to something a little bit bigger. It really is what works for you. But this line right here is another great finishing tip because it's going to clean up that contour and it's going to make everything look more lifted. Can you see the difference? I hope you can. I'm going to take this off because I want to just show you not, well, this has a little bit on it, but not corrected versus corrected. The lift, the volume in my face just from those products is crazy how you can get that and look more youthful just in a couple of different steps. So that's like all I want to, I want to show you, actually I was going to show you one more thing. If you have this lower lip issue like I do, where I will not get filler in my lip, no judgment at all. For me, I'm scared and I want it to look natural. So for me, what I like to do is I'm going to use, you can use anything, okay? This is from Saint. This is just an illuminator. Looks like this. I'm going to add a little bit right there. And it creates like almost like a little bit of, it creates a little bit of a fuller look to the lip. So that is another little trick you can do there. You can see the difference. I do have things to lift, but guess what? I know how to make it look like I don't. And the reason is because it's just playing with light and dark. So you can just see the difference. Anyone can lift their face. It doesn't matter if you think you can't lift it or you don't have anything to lift. You can lift your face with these simple, subtle changes. And me staring straight at the camera, if you can't see the difference, I'm like, man, it's crazy to me on this side of the camera. So the comment, I just laugh because I am 44. I do have maturing skin. And a lot of us notice things about our skin, right, that other people don't notice. But it's all an illusion. Makeup is an illusion. So if you are giving up makeup, I challenge you to try some of these tricks because you might actually like it. And makeup should be fun. It shouldn't be something that's like a chore. And when makeup becomes a chore, trying some new things actually makes it fun again. I want to apply really quick a blush because blush, if you have dull skin, which happens as we age as well, applying a little bit of blush on the skin is also really a great way to kind of lift and just give some youthfulness to the skin. Do I shave my face? I do shave my face actually. I did a post recently about my favorite perimenopause products. This is Huckleberry from Saint. And on there was my face razor that I use. So you should go look at that post because I love it. It's great. I've tried lasering my face. It works for my mustache. I have an at-home laser that I use. My husband actually stole it from me. He'll kill me that I said that. But I use it on my mustache area because that sometimes gets to be a problem. But the razor I use, I got from Amazon. It's super cheap and I love it. So I'm just going to apply right where my contour is. You're so welcome. I'm going to apply right up here, okay? So right on my contour, I'm applying my blush and I'm just gonna kind of blend that. And I like to use my hand as a palette. You can use, there's like glass palettes you can get, metal ones, but I just like to use my clean hand and I'm just gonna lift that blush up like that, okay? It's gonna bring youthfulness to the skin. It's gonna add some color back to the face. And then I'm just gonna take my finger and just kind of go over. If you add too much blush and you're like, oh, that's way too much, you can put some foundation on and just kind of blend that out. But that just adds a little bit of youthfulness. And then just a little bit on the lips. I like to use kind of more of a berry shade, pinks. They're gonna add a lot more youthfulness to the skin than using something that's almost like washed out. So make sure that your lip color, you're not using something that's too pale because that can really pull back and wash out your color as well. So there you go. Lifting the skin, easy ways to correct hollowing, receding. If you're in perimenopause and you're just like a little frustrated with makeup, hopefully these tips and tricks will help you. Go ahead and save this video. I'm gonna post it on my main page, so all you have to do is comment match, and I will send you all the links to this video. But thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you learned something, came away with something, and I hope you guys have a good Monday. I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll talk soon. Bye.